Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. I just came on here to say hello. It's been a while, but I did post yesterday a video, a little montage of pictures of me and Michael, because we celebrated this month our 50th wedding anniversary, and we were just so happy that we made it to 50 years. I mean, when you start to get up in age, you pray to God, to bless each and every day, and to keep you on the journey together. As I think I mentioned once before in the video, my family's all gone, so it's only me. And it's a little scary, to feel like, I was the youngest, so I'm the last one left. And, I don't take my days for granted anymore. I thank God every day that I get up and I'm able to be with my husband. But I'll tell you a true story, how I met my husband. It was 12th grade, the first day of school. And, we go to our homeroom to get our classes and our schedule. And, of course, there were other people from other rooms placed in my homeroom. So there were a lot of kids in there, getting their itineraries and stuff. So my husband was in the room. I didn't see him. I was up in the front and he was in the back, and he was standing with a friend. And he says to his friend, he saw the back of my head, never saw my face or anything like that. He said to his friend, "You see that woman over there?" He says, "I'm going to marry her." And lo and behold, we met in the 12th grade somehow or other. I think it was related to music somehow that brought us together. And the rest is history. Yeah, I mean, that was just an amazing thing. It was like he just knew. He just knew I was his wife. And it's no different than the rest of my life. It's so spiritual, Anyway, I have been doing a lot of research, since the Lord has taken so many things out of my diet, and a lot of the things that I was troubled with, the illnesses, a lot of them are being corrected. And I don't know exactly what the catalyst is for all this correction, because he's taken me off of so many things. And I can only say that the diseases that we're probably plagued with, mostly as women, could probably be corrected through a lifestyle change and diet. And that's what I'm trying to figure out, if there isn't really a surefire cure for something, and maybe the cure is that we need to make changes in our diet and stick to it. And the world is pushing us in a different direction. The world is pushing us to our self-destruction, with the way that all the ultra-processed foods, and now everything is bioengineered. So, I looked up, I wanted to know if women are plagued with more diseases than men. And, and I did some research on it. I have some notes here, if you don't mind me sharing them with you. But, it's pretty startling that women, what they have to deal with, just because they're a woman. It says, being a woman comes with so many blessings, but our bodies can do miraculous things. I mean, we can bring forth life in our bodies. Our bodies are geared to create life inside of it. That's a blessing. But if you're a woman, you are also at greater risk for a number of diseases and conditions that are less common to men. So I have a list of 12 of them here, but I think there's more. And the first one is anxiety. And I lived my life with panic attacks, anxiety. I had some phobias, agoraphobia. I had so many things going on. And it says here, women are twice as likely as men to be diagnosed with anxiety disorder in their lifetime. And while it's normal for all of us to worry about things at times, an anxiety disorder is constant, it's severe, and negativity of it itself impacts our day-to-day life, okay? It's something that you have to cope with every day. It's like a battle. You get up, you have to battle it. And the 5 most common anxiety disorders are generalized. It's GAD, which is general anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and also, SAD, it's social anxiety disorder. A lot of disorders there listed under anxiety, and mostly women have these. The next one is autoimmune diseases, which I also had. So I had the first one, I have the second one. It says there are many more than 80 autoimmune diseases. I think there's a little bit higher than that. If you do research, you'll find, one site will say 80, one will say 100, one will say more than 100, but it's in a specific vicinity. And it says that more than 75% of these autoimmune diseases, women have them. Okay, so that is a huge number of diseases that plague women. It says autoimmune illnesses occur when the body's immune system goes into overdrive and mistakenly starts to attack itself. And it attacks its own healthy cells. A few of the most common autoimmune diseases are lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, celiac disease, type 1 diabetes, and multiple sclerosis. Those are some of the, just a few, okay? And then the next one, of course, is breast cancer. Huge, huge, huge disease. I don't think there's a person alive who doesn't know somebody who passed away from breast cancer. It says breast cancer in men is a possibility, but it's 100 times more common in women. The average risk of a woman developing breast cancer in a lifetime is 12%. You can reduce your risk by living a healthy lifestyle, eating a balanced diet, and choosing not to smoke. Limiting alcohol intake and staying active. Yeah, all things that as we get older become harder to do. Okay, and this one is an interesting one. I only know one person who passed away from this. It's called broken heart syndrome. Did you ever hear of that? Yeah. It says it is a temporary heart condition that mimics heart attack, and it often is triggered by a stressful situation that occurs in your life, extreme emotions, a surgery, or a serious physical injury. The stress is usually a sudden and acute emotional or physical, and it quickly weakens the heart muscle from the overwhelming amount of adrenaline produced in response to the event. It's kind of like, when you hear someone you love dies and you get this shock and this rush of adrenaline that surges through your body. This is what it's talking about. So not only hearing of a death or a grief, it could be anything. It could be a surgery, it could be an injury that you sustain, and it causes that shock to your body and it impacts your heart. It says here, it weakens the heart muscle from an overwhelming amount of adrenaline produced in response. And according to the American Heart Association, broken heart syndrome is more common in women than it is in men. The next one is depression. Now, I've had anxiety. Now they say anxiety is linked to depression, but I never really experienced the depression until I lost my mother. So I would say it was clinical depression that I experienced from the loss, because before that I never really felt depressed. I had anxiety, but never really felt depressed. It says, like anxiety, which is often comorbid with depression, like I just said, it's linked. Women are also twice as likely as men to have depression. Depression can be caused and influenced by biological factors like fluctuating female hormones during the menstrual cycle, during pregnancy, and the postpartum period, and menopause. Environmental factors like stress, pain, medical problems, and the level of family and social support also come into play. Now, here's another one. I have all of these. I mean, except for the broken heart syndrome, which I thought I would have when I lost my mother, but thankfully I didn't. Irritable bowel syndrome. Irritable bowel syndrome is a condition that occurs when digestive complaints such as cramping, diarrhea, constipation, and bloating last for 3 months or more, and is more common in women, and their symptoms tend to worsen at the start of each menstrual period. All right. And the next one is migraines. Thankfully, I haven't had those, but I know people that have. It says migraines are severe, sometimes chronic headaches. They can cause nausea, vomiting, light and sound sensitivity, and vision changes. They affect more than 30 million Americans, but women are 3 times more likely to have them than men. And they could be triggered by hormonal changes. Oh, women and our hormones, boy. Okay, the next one, and we know this for a fact, is osteoporosis. We see women, we get older, we start to shrink. We get shorter. Our joints start to swell. We have arthritic joints, and the bones start to soften, and we have to be careful that we don't fall, because it's very, very easy once they become porous and brittle to break one. And when you get older, it's much harder to heal from broken bones. It says here, in osteoporosis, the bones become weak and more likely to break. Of the 10 million Americans estimated to have osteoporosis, 80% of them are women. Oh, God. Women, we're suffering here. The older you are, the higher your risk gets when menopause sets in, estrogen levels drop, and bone loss increases as a result. And to slow bone loss, they suggest that you get plenty of vitamin D, calcium, and exercise. Now, the next one is stroke. Strokes block the blood flow to the brain and kill more women than men. While risk factors like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, smoking, and family medical history apply to everyone, women have some very unique risk factors for stroke. They are pregnancy, taking birth control pills, using hormone replacement therapy, and having frequent migraines. So it's just a note there. The next one is thyroid disease. Wow, the sun came out. All right. 1 in 8 women will experience thyroid problems in her lifetime. Thyroid issues like hypothyroidism, which is an underactive thyroid, and hyperthyroidism, which is an overactive thyroid, It can interfere with menstrual cycle and cause problems during your pregnancy. Now here's a very, very interesting one. It's called trichotillomania. I hope I pronounced that right. It's while the name is less commonly known, trichotillomania is an impulse control disorder that causes the person to repetitively pull out their hair. It occurs at the same rate between a boy and a girl in children, but when they get older, 80 to 90% of adults sufferers are women. So when you're kids, the ratio of hair pulling is equal, but then when you get older, it swings mostly towards women that have it. It can cause bald spots on a person's head, eyebrows, and eyelashes. Terrible disorder. The next one is urinary tract infections. And it says women have a higher rate of UTIs than men. Experts believe that's because women have shorter urethras. They're more prone to bacterial transmission in the genital area. But I think it's because of the sheath, the foreskin, that is the same as a male's foreskin, and they have it removed. And the reason they have it removed is because of that very reason, because it is a mucosa underneath the sheath, and if you're not careful, or if your hygiene isn't that great, or if you just have infection somewhere in your body and it settles there, it's going to flourish in that area mostly. So I think that's most of the reason why. And then the next one, it says, yeah, that's about it. I think I reached the end here for this research paper. So, yeah, you can see how you can see what the medical system, the medical system is inundated with patients, and probably mostly women. I didn't do the research to see how many doctors' patients are women or men, but I think that women go to doctors much more than men because things go wrong. More things can go wrong, and it's because our systems. And being a believer and loving the Lord, I always, as much as I delve into research and learn about biology and biochemistry and our bodies and how they function, it always goes back to scripture for me, and the Garden of Eden. And I wonder why, if what's plaguing women with all these diseases had something to do with what happened in the garden. Was it the fruit, or was it sex? Those two things I go back and forth with, and I can't figure it out. I'm praying to figure it out one day, because I really want to know, was it the fructose that was eating from the fruit and the tree that led us to the corruption of the flesh? Or was it sex, what entered the woman's body? And if you look at any videos on how when the sperm enters a woman's body, her immune system goes ballistic and tries to kill every single sperm that enters her body. And I say to myself, well, something so natural as conception shouldn't really be a war zone in a woman's body if God sanctioned it. So I think of those things, and because I think of those things, I dig harder, and I'm constantly looking for an answer. And maybe one day I'll find the answer, hopefully, if God wants me to, because I certainly want to know what happened in the garden. So on that note, I'll wish you all a beautiful day in the Lord. I wish you well, and I'll be back soon with another video. Have a great day. Shalom.